Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Let's take a look at all our Bitcoin miners because they have gone down so much today. So it's probably the biggest red day for all these miners. So we're going to talk about Mara, RIOT, and SOS. So here we have Mara, and we can see if we zoom in here, we actually have a huge pattern that unfolded that caused this giant drop-off of these prices. So let's see here. Let's take a look. So if I draw right here, we can see this M that was forming right here about 2 days ago. And so the price target of the M is right about the top to the bottom. So we actually just hit that price target right here. And let me just move this out of the way. Sorry guys, I'm on vacation right now, so I'm just taking this video on my iPad. So I'm just drawing everything. It's kind of hard for me right now, but I'm just trying to give you this content because a lot of people are worried. They're seeing a reversal happening, and they're trying to figure out why is it happening, why is it going down so much. But as we can see here, everything still is looking pretty bullish. It has dropped off significantly, but we can see actually this fluctuation of prices between these resistance boxes and supports, and which are the ones that are these colors right here. So we actually see that happening, and we saw some really good support here. Let me just take that off. If we zoom in closer, we can see kind of the price action a little bit better. So like I was saying, we saw this M formation right here. It couldn't hold on, so it held on this part of this resistance. Remember, we used as support here, as resistance there, as resistance here, and it was used as support, which was a bullish thing, but we ultimately could not pass this trend line right here. And from there, we started getting a move to the downside, which then completed this M. This move to the downside, which completed this M right here. Remember, M's are bearish patterns, just like W's are bullish patterns, like in the W right here. We move to the upside. Those are bullish patterns. M's are bearish patterns. And once we cross this neckline, which also was the resistance box, we got a huge move to the downside. And it was holding on there for a couple hours for the first day on Friday, was it Wednesday? But today we saw it break down, and we saw another continual move down to the here to the $38 mark, I think, was the lowest for Mara at this point. And we saw that actually retest. So we had this symmetrical triangle, and hold on. Sorry. Okay, so we had the symmetrical triangle playing out right here. We broke to the upside, but then we found support here on this resistance. Ultimately broke down to retest this actual trend line from this symmetrical triangle breakout. And then from there, we found our support right here on this supporting upwards trend. So it's still holding its bullish pattern outlook, if we can see here. And also another good thing to see is once we're looking at this EMA ribbon and how the price is fluctuating within this ribbon, we see when we have huge jumps here, we always see a breakdown from this ribbon all the way down to our resistance box, and then we see it kind of fluctuating in price until we ultimately have a breakout. So every single time we break through this EMA ribbon and we bounce off this support right here, this support that's sloping upwards, we find another rally to the upside, just like how we saw right here. Big move to the upside, and then right here, this is our hugest move to the upside right here, reaching our local high of $56. And then we have another touch right here. And what we saw actually after hours, we saw another nice little rally. So if we look here at the 1 hour, we saw an actual good bounce, because what we want to see is we want to see a nice bounce happening, and we did, and that's what actually happened. We saw just wicks touching the resistance box, and then we saw a continued move towards the upside. So a nice little rally around $3. So we could see some more potential rallying back up to our next resistance box here at $46, which we see our EMA ribbon kind of coming towards and justifying that with some confluence right there. But Mara is still looking bullish. It just had a huge drop today, but as you can see, it's actually fluctuating within these prices. So nothing too out of the ordinary. It's a very high volatile stock, as you can see here, but we're still seeing our overall momentum going to the upside. So we can expect another continued move to the upside right here to our $46 resistance. And if we flip that, use that as support, then we can ultimately trend this upwards trend line here back to our all-time high here at $54, $55. All right, so be on the lookout at that. But next, let's look at RIOT. Okay, so for RIOT, I actually redrew this shape. It was a symmetrical triangle breakout, and we did have that confirmation, but we ended up breaking back into the symmetrical triangle. So now I redrew this triangle to now fit in as much data as I could, and now it's still looking pretty intact. It's actually finding support right here on this trend line like we did in the previous times here when we had big dips, and it's still looking very bullish. We still can see continued upward momentum here to the $56 mark right here, also lining up with this lower descending resistance and also this resistance box. So our next key move to breaking out of the symmetrical triangle, once we retest this and move back up to our next resistance at $71, is that 40 right here, that $57 range. And we still see many times, again, with all these huge jumps, they're great opportunities to buy, because we see also in our RSI, we see here huge massive lows right here, oversold here on the 30 of the RSI. So very low RSI. That means that it's a great time to buy, because we see every single time we saw a huge move upwards, testing back on these upward resistances of the RSI to the overbought territory. So we can expect the same move to happen again, because like time and time again, we moved up here from the low 30s up to $70 here again, right? 30s to 56, and then also here at $44, and we could have a potential move up to the $56 before finding resistance. So RIOT is still looking intact, super oversold, which are a lot of these Bitcoin miners are, because price manipulation, they want to attack Bitcoin and all the things, all the stocks related to Bitcoin. Because of the Coinbase IPO, that's what kind of started this whole thing. It could have been a huge thing, good or bad, and it was a bad thing. But overall, the markets are coming back to that normal of going from extremely oversold to now going back to being towards the middle of the range. And we can see that with the RSI, because every single time we have that super low area here for the RSI, we see huge moves to the upside. So I'm not worried about RIOT. RIOT is probably the strongest one out of all these, because now we just have more consolidation in this pattern. So until we see that move here towards the upside, we can move our continual trajectory here towards that $70 resistance. So be on the lookout for that. And now we can jump into SOS. Okay, so now we're looking at SOS, and right now SOS is forming a descending triangle, a descending wedge. So that's a good thing, because descending wedges are bullish patterns, and the price target for descending wedges are the top of the wedge. So the top of the wedge would be right around here, which would be at the $12 mark, and that would make sense with our confluence, because we also see a resistance around the $11.46 mark, which is what we would probably see as resistance in the uptrend once it does this breakout. But it's very close now. It's still forming down into this descending wedge right here. So not much time left till we see another breakout. I adjusted this too, because before we had a descending triangle pattern going on that was like this. But since after it broke out, actually it was more like this. We broke out, and then we found some more resistance coming down here, and we saw a lot of resistance because of our Fibonacci levels and also our EMA ribbon, which was acting as resistance as well. So if we look at that, let's zoom in a little bit more on this chart. Right now I have my Fib retracement from the top of all-time highs to around $16 right here, down to our lows of $4.30. And if we look at our EMA ribbon, let me turn it on, and we zoom here. This is the 4-hour chart, by the way, and we're looking. So we saw an initial breakout from right here above our EMA ribbon, which is what we want to see, but then we found a retest that we could not hold, and eventually we broke down here. Now this EMA ribbon is used as resistance. So it's still a little bit bearish at this moment. What we do see happening though is we do see, if we look on the, actually this is the 1-hour chart, if we look on the 4-hour chart, let's see here, we do see some bullish divergence happening. So if we look at this wedge, we can see that we are having a low and then a lower low. So we're going down this way. And then on RSI, we have a low here and a higher low here. So we are forming a bullish divergence, which is great, because that means that we're going to see a move to the upside very soon. And we're still in this very oversold territory on the RSI and right here. But now it's starting to move upwards. And once we get to that range, because right now we've been fluttering between this low mark of the RSI and kind of just trading sideways within this range, but we still see continual down movement. But right now we formed a bullish divergence, which is a good thing. What else can we see here on this chart? We're still seeing the EMA ribbon act as resistance here. We saw it flip bearish here, and then overall the whole trend was getting pushed down by this resistance of the EMA ribbon. Once it flipped bearish and it started fanning out, was acting as more resistance. So we see that, and then we also see this resistance line right here also acting resistance. So a lot of confluence between the EMA, this ascending resistance, and also this horizontal resistance here at the $5.68 mark. But once we break that $6 mark right here and start using it as support, we can move up to the $7 area, and then ultimately we can move up to the, let's see here, the $9 area, and then ultimately test this golden pocket, which we most likely will see a rejection and more consolidation this way. But it is looking like it can actually reverse here for SOS any day now, especially because it looks like a lot of the dumping for these other miners is over for the moment, because we're actually looking at very key support levels going upwards. So in the next couple of days, what you want to see is an eventual breakout of this target. I will be updating you guys as much as I can. Like again, I said, I'm on a vacation right now, so I can't really be making a lot of videos, but I'm going to be looking at the charts. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'll probably be posting some updates there too if you want to see something quick. But for the meantime, I'll try to make as many videos as I can. But I come back on Sunday, which I will make a follow-up video going over everything like SOS, MARA, RIOT, and also some altcoins too, because I made an altcoin video a couple days ago, and since then a lot of the altcoins that I chose have been up 30, 20, 40%, even XRP when I added on there. People were saying it was a scam and that like it wasn't going to go any higher, and I talked about it at $1.09, and now it's at $1.80. So it went up 80% since that video. So yeah, I'm going to be doing an update on all the ones I talked about and any new altcoins that can be potential for maybe 40%, 50% moves, because as Bitcoin is consolidating, right now we're still in an uptrend for Bitcoin. It just broke out, but we're still seeing a little bit of a more slower path to the upside, which is a good thing, because the slower the price moves and it's still going in a continual uptrend, that means the higher it will go. So we don't want to blow off top, because that means that we might drop down a lot for Bitcoin. So we're still seeing that movement upwards for Bitcoin. Is not looking that crazy. Actually, let me pull that up right now. Let's see here. Yep, so for Bitcoin, we're still on that EMA ribbon, using it as support, riding it through. We're seeing nice support here at the $61 mark, which was a huge resistance in the past. And now, if we kind of scroll over here, let's actually zoom in a little bit more. If we look here, yep, so it's still using that upward support as momentum to keep its path here. And we're not too overbought here on our side. We still have potential just to kind of like waver over here on the top of it. So we still have another move to the upside. And we're still using this support here to move towards the upside. So it's not looking bad for Bitcoin. We just had that dump because of the Coinbase launch IPO, which causes all the crypto-related stocks to fall and Bitcoin to fall too. But in reality, it only fell a couple percent. So it's just a lot of panic and FUD, you know, buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing. So nothing to worry about now. Bitcoin is still looking good. It had a nice recovery since today after it dropped a bit. But that caused a lot of panic for the Bitcoin miners and a lot of sell-off and also price manipulation. But we still held resistances at the key levels. So it's still looking bullish. We still have higher lows, and we have not broken any significant trends so far. But once we do that, then we can see continual consolidation for all these Bitcoin miners. But so far, I don't see any breakdown of the continual movement upwards just yet. But I will be updating you if I see any of that. But other than that, make sure if you found this informative to give it a like and subscribe. And that is it for today. Peace out.